Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. I want to spend a few moments talking about some of these far-left progressives who inhabit the Congress, and most regrettably for the country, constitute a long tail that is wagging the entire Democratic Party dog, meaning no respect to dogs. First up, this Rashida Tlaib person. She's a member of the House Financial Services Committee who once asked who was Ben Bernanke. But yesterday, she demonstrated her financial prowess with this exchange. Please listen and weep.
No. Does your bank have a policy against funding new oil and gas products?
Absolutely not, and that would be the road to hell for America.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Sir, you know what? Everybody that got relief from student loans has a bank account with your bank should probably take out their account and close their account.
Yes. Now, first up, Jamie Dimon deserves a Nobel Prize in economics, just for that sentence alone, where he said we would all go to hell. And by the way, besides his inconvenient truth answer, later on he'd said that with an insecure global energy supply, natural gas investment is really the best clean burning approach for years to come. And he also said that the huge student loan cancellation plan was a bad idea. And he later talked about the need for economic growth policies across the board on taxes and regulations and other areas. Like I said, give Jamie Dimon a Nobel Prize in economics. That's simple. But back to Tlaib. Let's not let a bunch of utterly stupid statements go to waste. What she's basically doing here, or saying here, is calling for a run on the bank. This during a period when the Fed is rushing to tighten money and a potential financial crisis could be out there. But because Jamie Dimon didn't agree with the student loan bailout for the wealthy, she doesn't care. Let's bring down a big bank, no problem. Now, mind you, she's on the Financial Services Committee. The good news is our banks are very well capitalized right now and will weather any monetary storms, not like 2008. Then there's the issue of bank lenders providing credit to our fossil fuel industry. There's been so much pressure from the woke climate crowd to stop loans. Well, hang on a minute. In California, we're not going to have any gas-powered cars in 10 years. But if you happen to own an EV right now, you're not allowed to recharge the battery. Why is this? Because there's not enough electricity. Why is that? Because they're closing down fossils, especially natural gas. But hang on, it gets better. Rashida Tlaib wants the banks to do her far-left bidding by preventing loans to natural gas producers. Makes sense? I guess you have to be a certain kind of person with a certain kind of bizarre brain to make sense of any of this. Or I would suggest these are just very stupid ideas. Here's another dumb idea. Inside the Biden administration, all these agencies and departments seem to be setting up ESG czars, basically to wokeify the entire federal government with these crazy ideas of net zero carbon and social justice and various sex and gender teachings and on. Which exactly congressional law or appropriation stipulates that every federal agency should have an ESG czar? I'm not aware of any appropriation or law. Now, I do remember the misinformation czar in the Department of Homeland Security's. No, it was actually in the Health and Human Services, I believe. I think it was Health and Human Services. I could be wrong, one of them. But all that misinformation czar stuff folded amidst enormous criticism with the threat of defunding the entire department. These ESG divisions in Biden world are sprouting up like bad weeds. Somebody should just mow them down. Republicans should call them on it. But back to Ms. Tlaib. I'm not quite done with her. A couple of days ago, she told a conference this, listen and weep.
I want you all to know that among progressives, it has become clear that you cannot claim to hold progressive values, yet back Israel's apartheid government. And we will continue to push back and not accept this idea that you are progressive except for Palestine any longer.
Israel? Apartheid? Really? You know how many Arabs live in Israel? the answer is plenty. It's a big chunk of the population been living there peacefully in Israel for years and voting in Israel. Oh, and by the way, Israel is one of the greatest democracies in the world. And also, by the way, Rashida Tlaib is an anti-Semite of the first order. So much for the progressive ideas among the progressives in the Democratic Party. Let's end fossils, end electricity, promote a run on the banks, and hate Israel, who, by the way, is probably our staunchest ally in the entire world. But wait, one more moment here. Speaking of progressives, here's AOC on children, immigration, wealthy people, and capitalism. It's a beauty. Listen to this and weep.
But there are quite a few countries that are really struggling because young people, because under the burdens of capitalism and living under a society that's increasingly concentrating wealth among the rich, we're not having kids, or we're not having kids at the same rate. We actually need immigrant populations to help balance things out.
So, let me get this right. The burdens of capitalism are creating too many wealthy people. Well, okay. By the way, capitalism creates tremendous prosperity for all people. Middle class, blue collars, minorities. That's what we learned after the Trump tax cuts, for example, or after the Reagan tax cuts, or after the JFK tax cuts. Actual facts show a rising tide lifts all boats when you provide incentives and opportunities for everyone. But it gets even better with AOC because she wants, wait a minute, more illegal immigrants to fill the so-called population gap. Well, hang on. We're headed for 3 million illegals this year, maybe more. How many more can this country take? Really? In 1 year, we have 3 million or more. And that's, of course, with all the drugs and the fentanyl and the sex trafficking and the inhumane conditions. Or maybe AOC really believes Joe Biden that the border is actually closed, right? In which case, she'd like to open it up. There are very few people outside the White House who actually believe this perverted logic, but it's really just another of this series of utterly irresponsible and unserious statements by the far-left progressives of the Democratic Party. These are not serious people. These folks are not rooting for America. But these are the people who are running the Democratic Party right now. And that's why I pray the cavalry is coming.